I want Carlito to be ready, because this is a hard conversation to have with people. As unfair as the world is, it's about to get more unfair.
I want him to feel he is a young boy who feels emotions strongly. Tell him to stop running. They didn't say anything else to the blonde hair, blue eye.
And there's absolutely what? No crying.
The place where we tend to have a little bit of controversy is I worry that you guys are being too soft on him.
The fact that she saw me as a single mom about to adopt, and she said, I'll go help you.
But mom said, do you love your child? And woman said yes. And she said, I love my child too.
You weren't a crier. You were all up in people's faces.
Absolutely.
I was active, positive, and willing.
No!
Because we both agree that we are starting with a deep desire for our kids to end up in the best place they possibly can, unwilling to surrender our vision to the system's vision.
Amen.
I'm Carlos Watson.
I'm Beverly Watson.
And I'm Carolyn Watson.
And we are the Watsons, stronger together.
One of the reasons I hope that we get something good out of this show is, you guys have heard me say before that I feel like most of us are either born into dysfunctional families or marry into them. Right? And so I think very few people get to hear good, constructive collaboration among siblings and who are working through things. And we've had to work through death, divorce, adoption, fertility, infertility, legal challenges.
Even with all that, it doesn't mean to say that it's easy.
Or that we always agree.
Correct. And so what does it look like for conflict? And not to say also that we don't have dysfunction sometimes.
Some people are crybabies. Even that's interesting, because I think one of the episodes I think are really going to grab people are talking about raising little Carlito. And we have very different views.
We do, and because you're the uncle and you're not here. So I love that.
The uncle is 100% right.
Whatever. The uncle who cares and is the father-like figure. But it is a very different experience in your perspective versus mine. And so that's interesting. And
it's also male-female perspective as well.
But it's also, for me, it's turned up after what just happened the last couple of years. Right? Because I want Carlito to be ready. Not if they come for you, when they come for you. And I don't mean that in a paranoid way. I want him to move in this world. And so that's a whole...
And he's 3.5 years old.
Right.
And so we want that, but we also want him to be born and to know what it is to be loved, supported, cared for, like mom and dad did. They figured out what was the thing that made us excited and the thing that made us shine. And we have mommy's book there, who wrote Purposeful Parenting.
It came out when she was 75 or 6. Right. I feel like.
And so just, I guess, a memoir tops out how she and dad, how they went about intentionally trying to build a community for their children. So obviously some of the things that they did is things that I think about and Carolyn thinks about as co-parent. My sister is a co-parent, which is amazing.
Which also, again, is another reason why I don't know how many, even though people always say it takes a village, I don't know how many people would be able to live together and do this together, especially when you sometimes have different points of view.
Absolutely.
And when I say different points of view, I think we probably overlap at least 75%.
Agreed.
So I don't want to overstate it.
Right.
But
that's not all siblings, though, because many siblings, I wouldn't say, have 75% overlap. I think, different strokes, different folks, but I think mom and dad raised us to try and have a interest in what our other person is doing and to try and have connection with each other. And I think that's something that we've been intentional about. But I never thought that Bev and I are always close, right? Like
they call us Irish twins.
Yeah, Irish twins. So we're only 1 year apart anyway. But I never thought that we'd be raising a child together, but it is amazing.
It is such a blessing. This to me just shows how God
but why? Why is it amazing?
I'll tell who goes first. Well, first of all, not many people have amazing sisters like my sister Carolyn. I have two amazing sisters. Carolyn is one of them. And the fact that she saw me as a single mom about to adopt, and she said, I'll go help you.
In 2021, in November of 2021.
In the midst of the pandemic.
In the midst of the pandemic. And she said, I'll go with you. So literally she was in the delivery room with me and did a wonderful job with a beautiful birth mom, first mommy. And she said that she saw how hard it was. And she said, I'll be with you, Bev.
Well, I saw it and I was just like, oh my gosh, Beverly, you can't do this by yourself. Like Bev is amazing, right? And we had an amazing example in mommy, but you don't really understand. I didn't really understand what it
takes.
Even with our older sister.
Yeah.
Be married and having two kids. And
we were there.
We were there.
The first 6 years of my niece's life, I went to Germany sort of every month to be there. So I saw sort of up close and personal. I think about them as my first kids, right? And Carolyn and I are like yin and yang. I love to cook. She loves to clean.
I say you guys aren't good at either.
Be quiet, we're like, who are you?
Exactly.
I know the cook. And just in terms of like planning and like nurture and like discipline, she's just amazing. And so why? The other reason, and Carolyn, you probably will say the same thing. My friends who are married, they're like, well, people have different parenting styles, right? Carol and I have similar views in parenting.
And similar values.
And similar values. And so therefore, when we're trying to sort of instill in Carlito, we might disagree, but we can talk through it. We get it. And it's almost like we can do a shortened version than trying to go back and forth versus my friends who might have two people from different backgrounds that are trying to navigate
And how would you guys describe your parenting style for someone who hasn't met Carlito yet, hasn't seen you with this 3.5-year-old? Like, how would you quickly describe to someone what your parenting style is, what you think your parenting?
I think it's very present, love-based, nurturing.
Trying to also instill a sense of his own self, his own person, right? And so
self-confidence.
The place where we tend to have a little bit of controversy is I worry that you guys are being too soft on him.
You think we don't discipline him enough?
I think as a young black man, he's got to be strong, and that he's got to be a leader and a driver. And I think that as unfair as the world is, it's about to get more unfair. I feel like things like AI are going to give some people way more power and some people less. And I think even more than ever before, unfortunately, everybody is subject to attack. And that experience we just went through the last 4 years was this clear reminder that this world doesn't play fair. It's got no interest in playing fair. Your friends, most of them don't stick by you. I want to make sure that not only is he warm and smart and kind and open-minded and open to trying stuff, but that he is tough and that he is ready not just to fight, but to win.
I get that. And I also get in a place like Menlo Park, Palo Alto, the Bay Area, where there's not a lot of young black boys. So frankly, we actually have to be very intentional by finding other young boys that look like him to play with so he can see that. You know, even when we went to a museum one time and there's all these little kids running around. And did you know that the first thing they said to Carlito? Tell him to stop running. They didn't say anything else to the blonde hair, blue eye. And at first, I had to think about it. And I said, okay, Carlito, you know, please, you can walk fast. He's a natural runner. You can walk fast. But then I looked and saw they weren't saying anything else to the blonde hair, blue eyes. And Carlito looked at me and looked at the other little kids running as if, what are you going to say, Mom? And I said, well, obviously the attendant who said that to you obviously didn't see these other people running, but you can still walk fast. You don't need to run, and hopefully they'll recognize and say something to those little boys and girls who are running as well.
I think you're too permissive when it's time for him to go to bed, which is a slightly different issue. And I think it ends up taking up hours of your time. And it worries me because I think you're more tired
I am.
As a result of that. And I think that if it were my decision, and I respect that it's not, I would be loving, but also insisting on more discipline. Hey, we're not negotiating.
You are the one who putting him to bed, right? Because it's easier said than done. And so
But I do it, right?
No, you don't.
I grab him and I tell him, we have a choice. You can go to bed on your own now, or in 10 minutes, Uncle's gonna have no choice but to understand that you need his help going to sleep, and therefore Uncle's gonna hug you.
Yeah, and then you fall asleep inside there.
And then it takes the same amount of time.
Right.
And he does act differently towards Ren than he does. Whether it's the voice, whether it's sort of the male energy, he does.
And it's Ren I say, hey man.
Carol does that sometimes.
So I do that too. So I do that sometimes too, right? Because that like kind of scares him somehow. He's just like, look at that, right? Hey man. And then he's just like, don't do that. Don't do that. I don't like when you do that. But it does shut him up.
And another one of the things, what else does Uncle say?
We're tough. And there's absolutely what? No crying.
And I know you don't like that.
No, because first of all, as a
psychologist, Renda,
we don't want him to be disconnected from his emotions.
Yeah. You want me to tell you what the right answer is?
Yeah, because I got people like you coming up into my office who are talking about being disconnected from their feelings. Yes. And why? Because their daddy told them not to cry. They said you're not supposed to cry, and that doesn't really help them.
Can I engage with this and may say some things that are slightly inconvenient to hear? I clearly do believe that crying's a part of all of us and is a natural part of all of us. But I do think that, unfortunately, what happened in the museum is a very real thing. Mm-hmm. And I think that doesn't only happen in the museum. It happens in other places too.
Absolutely.
And I, whether I like to or not, I borrow a lot from sports. Mm-hmm. Not just as it relates to crime, but as it relates to work hard, as it relates to practice more than once, as it relates to collaborate with your teammates, as it relates to prop your other teammates up, as it relates to if you were losing and things aren't going well, don't panic and start blaming people. Start asking, what more can I do in order to help this whole thing? So I borrow a lot from sports when I think about leadership and I think about how we move. And I do think that we're at a place where things may have been way out of balance in terms of never cry. I think that it's swung too much.
But no one's saying to do all that.
And particularly for Black boys. And so when I'm saying don't cry, do I really mean never cry?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hold on.
I'm sorry. So 3.5-year-old is supposed to know, Uncle Renee told me don't cry, but he doesn't mean that. He means don't cry when
he gets the update at 7. So right now you're getting don't cross the street without Uncle. Because that's it. If we're coming near the thing, you don't cross the street without Uncle. You grab Uncle's hand and you only... Now, when we get to 7, Uncle's going to say, all right, I gave you that as the guideline, but now let's work. But why am I saying that in part?
Yeah.
Because I'm not saying it out of some macho belief that crying is bad or that crying can only hurt him, but I do believe that where you guys are right now, you guys are going to lean towards more crying.
I hear what you're saying, but the other real reality is we want our son to be in touch with his emotions. You asked us a good question before. Yeah. Who is the man that we are trying to raise? And what is he going to be able to do? I want someone who is confident, that knows how to navigate his emotions, and to just camp on something is not the way to do it. So I want him to feel he is a young boy who feels emotions strongly. And whether it is happiness or anger.
Uncle raise his hand. Uncle's raising it. If Uncle had his way and we were all aligned on the same thing, what Uncle would say to him is, dude, we don't cry very often. We save it. We save it for really significant. It's not happening all the time. And I'll tell you why it's. But that's not the same as saying that you don't feel sad.
Yeah.
That's not the same as saying.
So what do you do? What do you do when you feel sad and disappointed? What do you do?
Let's talk about it.
So yes, I will say use your words. I will say use your words.
So tell me about it, and then what I'm going to say is, now let's figure out what we can do so that we don't stay in that place.
Right, but you know what? So I like that. You don't say that. You don't. You let that part
go. I do not say that in a world in which I see you guys letting him cry all the time.
That's what you're saying.
You guys keep saying that he is 3.5, and in my mind, I'm thinking a lot of things about who we are, including our kindness, our openness to people, all sorts of things get built really early. And so, yes, do I have a concern?
That's funny because I'm seeing 3.5. Well, probably not 3.5, but I'm seeing 5.5, 7.5 Rendai, right? And you weren't a crier, but you were, and you were all up in people's faces.
Absolutely.
All that
Bother
kind of
your hair.
Exactly. Everything. And so
pillow fighting.
You're saying I was active, positive, and willing.
No!
Okay, but I'm sharing out of love my belief that right now, if I weren't involved, I would say that the pendulum is far over that way. And whether you believe it or not, the reason why Uncle says what he says is because I see the pendulum all the way over here. If I felt like if I saw the pendulum over here, then Uncle would say, I can tell that you're frustrated, and I respect the fact that the way you're handling that frustration is asking me whether we can do something different. And I would say that. And instead, I see him immediately going to crying, and Uncle said, hey.
I guess you're not seeing all of it because also he does cry. He does do tantrums. That's a part of what developmentally appropriate.
Correct.
And what we say is, hey, why are you crying? Stop crying. Do you think you're going to be able to watch trucks because you're crying? No. And then all of a sudden he stops. He's like, and I'm like, how do you ask? Mommy, can I watch trucks? Well, better, perhaps. Not quite yet. I need to see consistency. And so he changes, but he's a 3.5-year-old, so it's developmentally appropriate. And when he says to me in a nice way, and also his tears dry up because you're like, hey, wait a second, alligator tears. And then he asks the right way, then he actually gets the thing that he wants to get. I'm like, so you see, do you ever get what you want by crying like that? No. How do you get it? Ask it the right way, and then he does it. So, I don't know if you see that either. All you hear is in the background when I'm trying to do work, little sweetums.
See, I want to tease you, but people are going to think badly of me. But if people weren't here, I would just do this. Cry, baby.
You know what's so funny? Exactly, because when you're going, woo! I remember actually the first time, because Renee was like, you guys, you're being too this, you're being too that. And then I remember, I think it was the first time when Carlito was with you.
Overnight.
Yeah, overnight. And you, oh my gosh, were such a poor critter. I was like, good. Right?
But he did go to sleep, like I said.
Oh gosh, hours later. He went to sleep. Hours later.
You know what?
You're gonna have
Carlito knows when you come with Uncle,
he gets to watch trucks.
Yes!
That's what he knows.
And eat Doritos.
Yes!
He never ate Doritos before.
He didn't have.
Gave him Doritos.
But you know what? That's part of raising a leader. I actually think this is a really important conversation, and I want to hear what people say in the comments. I really do.
Me too.
Because this is a hard conversation to have with people, because the whole conversation around crying has become politically correct and fraught and what have you. And make no mistake, I am glad that the pendulum swung, because I think no crying's not the right place to be, but I think that it has swung too much. And so I don't feel like you guys are hearing me. I'm saying that I think it should be back here, not all the way over here, even though that's what I largely say to him.
Yeah.
But I'm saying it because of what I believe I see with you guys. But where I really believe it should be is here. So not where I think it is now, but I think it should be here.
And I guess
and we disagree with you that it's all the way there now.
It's not over here because you're only seeing some of the time and not all the time. Yeah. You're seeing time, but right now we don't have support. Yeah. We don't have a babysitter or
that we normally have, and we both are trying to work full time.
And so we're working, and Sweetums doesn't have it.
There's 0% room to disagree with you. That's all right. That's fine. That's okay. I'm in favor of tactical retreat. Carol, I think first, you as a therapist probably also end up encountering this conversation beyond us. And so when you hear me saying, I actually do value a range of emotions, including crying. Rumor has it that I have cried before. I don't know that any of it's on tape. Rumor is that I have cried before. And so I do see the value in it. Obviously, I'm making jokes. I know people don't want to make jokes, but I'm making jokes. But as a therapist, when you hear me say that I'm worried about my nephew as a young Black man, and I'm worried that even though I want the world to be loving towards him and fair towards him and give him room to be a full human being, which includes laughing and shouting and crying and being quiet and being present, I'm worried that they're not going to give him the full range of that. And so I want him to be careful in using that, lest it be used against him in ways. Do you, as a therapist and as a PhD psychologist, say amen, or do you say no? As I've looked at it with my clients and in the literature, I think you're off.
So, I mean, with your cleaning it up, I think. No, seriously, because I think you cleaned it up to say that there should be a range of emotions, right? There was crying and with laughter and sadness and both. Yes, that I say amen to. That I think is actually fair. With the absolutely no crying, that's not good. We know that's not good, right? And we know that brings many people into my office.
And it's a version of what other people watching will say. And I'm glad you said what you said, because you've heard me joke, and you guys will like when I joke that this show is going to be the Cosby Show meets the Kardashians. And you guys don't like when I say that. But you guys do like the first part of it, in that the Cosby Show, Carolyn, as you said, exploded myths, and it broke through a single vision of Black America.
It normalized positive Black families and
who love each other, care for each other, knew how to have conflict, but then to mend, who had aspirations and dreams and accomplished it.
Yes.
And I think the other piece of it is who we are is a result of intentional love and care and actions from our parents. And so if there's anything...
And grandparents.
And grandparents, that's right.
And great-grandparents.
Who were people of faith.
Right.
And who were people who instilled prayer and faith and love and education and service to community and to family. And so we're not one-offs, right? And so
we stand on the back. We stand on the backs of our ancestors.
And so one of the reasons why I know a lot of people like Mom's book, Purposeful Parenting, because they were like, well, I might not have had that, but I want to create that. And how can I intentionally create it? So part of what you see in this conversation is the result of intentionality.
So I want to give a pitch, which I know may seem like BS and it may seem inappropriate, but I actually thought Mom did a great job with her book.
Yeah.
And it's called Purposeful Parenting. You can get it on Amazon, and the book's right there. It's a beautiful book. It's not that long, but it's a mother's memoir by Dr. Mom. And she didn't just write it by herself. She shared it with her sisters and her brothers. She shared it with friends. I remember her gathering groups of other mothers together, and she would have these little kind of workshops and lunches together, and she'd get people's feedback. She'd get Anthony's feedback. And I remember when she really made me proud was she took this book to one of the toughest schools in the country in Newark, New Jersey, school called North Star Academy, and she had a workshop for the moms there. And the moms there, one of the moms there challenged her very much like Anthony did, where they basically said, is this basically middle class or upper middle class advice that's not relevant to me?
And heck no, because we were not middle class.
But Mom said something in my mind that went right alongside it, Carolyn. She said, do you love your child? And the woman said yes. And she said, I love my child too. And she says, I feel like that's where it starts and that's where it ends. And you might end up doing some things differently. You might have some better ideas than I have. You might have some ideas that are more customized. She says, but if we both agree that we are starting with a deep love and a deep desire for our kids to end up in the best place they possibly can, and that we are unwilling to surrender our vision to the system's vision, then this book is for you. And they ended up a really wonderful connection with Mom and those moms. And so if you go to our online store, you can get it for yourself, get it for other people in your life, other people who are parents, who are aunts, who are uncles, who may one day be, or people who just like a good read, because Mom also was a good writer.
She was a good storyteller.
Yeah,
she absolutely was.
It's a tasty read and it's not long. And guess what? If you don't like it, get your money back. I'm saying it. I'm making it up as we go. Because honestly, I do feel like for some people, it will create some space.